Imagine this. You're Argentina. You have just produced the greatest footballer your country has ever seen. A player who inspired millions, won the biggest prize in football, and became more than just an athlete. He became a national symbol. So naturally, you decide to do what countless sports teams around the world have done. You retire his jersey forever. No one will ever wear the number 10 again. Sounds reasonable, except FIFA said one word. No, not just to Argentina, but to every country on Earth. The Netherlands couldn't retire Johan Cruyff's legendary number 14, Argentina couldn't retire Diego Maradona's iconic number 10, and if Brazil wanted to retire Pelé's famous number, FIFA would almost certainly reject that too. Why? What rule is so powerful that even the greatest legends in football history can't receive this honor? And here's the crazy part. This isn't about disrespect. It's because of a little-known World Cup rule that almost nobody talks about. But it completely changes how international football works. In almost every major sport, retiring a jersey number is considered one of the greatest honors an athlete can receive. Think about basketball. In the NBA, legendary players have had their numbers permanently retired by their teams. No future player will ever wear those numbers again. Baseball has done it. Ice hockey has done it. American football has done it. Even football clubs around the world have retired shirt numbers for iconic players. It's a way of saying, this player was so special that nobody should ever wear this number again. Fans love it because jersey numbers become part of a player's identity. When you think of Lionel Messi, you think of number 10. When you think of Cristiano Ronaldo, you immediately think of number 7. Maradona, number 10. Cruyff, number 14. Those numbers become legends in their own right. So if clubs can retire numbers, why can't national teams? Surely if anyone deserves that honor, it's players who carried an entire nation on their shoulders. Well, that's where FIFA enters the story, and FIFA has a very different way of looking at shirt numbers. To understand why FIFA keeps saying no, we first have to understand something surprisingly simple. At the FIFA World Cup, jersey numbers aren't just symbols, they're part of the tournament's official administration. Every squad must submit a numbered list of players. Those numbers are used for match reports, broadcast graphics, referee documents, statistics, player registrations, medical records, disciplinary reports, and countless other official systems. To make all of this work smoothly, FIFA requires teams to assign consecutive squad numbers during the tournament. If a nation brought 26 players, those players must wear numbers within the official squad numbering system. You can't suddenly remove one of those numbers forever just because it belongs to a legend. At first glance, it sounds like a boring administrative rule, but that simple requirement has stopped some of the biggest tributes football has ever tried to make. And no country discovered that more dramatically than Argentina. After Diego Maradona retired, many people in Argentina believed there was only one proper way to honor him. Never let another player wear the number 10. Simple, powerful, emotional. It wasn't just a shirt. It represented one of the greatest World Cup stories ever told. The genius of Mexico 1986, the unforgettable goals, the moments that united an entire nation. For millions of Argentinians, Maradona wasn't simply wearing number 10, he was number 10. So the Argentine Football Association explored the possibility of retiring the jersey. Fans supported it. Former players supported it. It felt like the perfect tribute. There was only one problem: FIFA. And the response they received would spark one of the most fascinating debates in football history, because FIFA wasn't willing to make an exception, not even for Diego Maradona, and once Argentina learned why, the Netherlands realized they had exactly the same problem with Johan Cruyff. That's where this story gets even more unbelievable. When Diego Maradona stepped away from international football, Argentina faced a question that no rulebook could answer. How do you honor someone who changed your country's football history forever? Maradona wasn't just another great player. He was the captain who led Argentina to World Cup glory in 1986. He produced moments that are still replayed decades later. The hand of God, the goal of the century. For an entire generation, the number 10 wasn't just stitched onto a shirt. It represented hope, magic, defiance, and above all, Diego Armando Maradona. So the idea seemed obvious. Retire the number. Never let another Argentine wear it again. Many supporters believed it would be the ultimate tribute. After all, clubs across the world had already retired shirt numbers for legendary players. Why shouldn't a national team do the same? What Argentina didn't realize was that FIFA had already drawn a line, and that line wasn't going to move. If Maradona defined Argentina, Johan Cruyff transformed Dutch football. He wasn't just a brilliant player, he completely changed the way football was played. His intelligence, his movement, his vision, and his philosophy became the foundation for modern positional football. Even today, coaches around the world still study ideas that Cruyff helped popularize, and throughout his international career, he wore one of football's most recognizable numbers, number 14. Unlike most stars who traditionally wore number 10, Cruyff made number 14 legendary. To Dutch fans, that number became inseparable from his legacy, so naturally, many believed it should never be worn again. The Dutch Football Association considered honoring him in exactly that way, but once again, FIFA stood in the way. The same regulations that blocked Argentina also blocked the Netherlands. No exceptions, no special treatment, not even for the man many consider one of football's greatest innovators. From FIFA's perspective, consistency mattered more than symbolism. Imagine organizing the biggest sporting event on Earth, 32, now 48 national teams, hundreds of players, thousands of officials, millions of records. Every tournament relies on standardized squad lists. Officials need to know exactly which player is wearing which number. Broadcasters need consistency. Statisticians need consistency. Referees need consistency. Tournament organizers need consistency. One exception sounds harmless. 10 exceptions become complicated. 50 exceptions become chaos. Whether fans agree with that logic or not, that's the principle FIFA has defended for decades. And because of that principle, some of football's most iconic shirt numbers continue to be worn by new generations, sometimes successfully, sometimes under enormous pressure. Because imagine being the next Argentine asked to wear number 10. But here's where things become even more interesting. Because while FIFA refuses to let national teams retire shirt numbers, football clubs around the world do it all the time. So why are clubs allowed to honor legends in a way that entire countries aren't? The answer reveals one of the biggest differences between club football and international football. Here's the strange part. If FIFA says retiring shirt numbers is such a bad idea, why do football clubs do it all the time? Walk into stadiums across the world and you'll find numbers that have become untouchable. Some clubs retired numbers after a legend spent decades defining their history. Others did it after a player's tragic death. For supporters, it's the ultimate sign of respect. Once that number goes into retirement, it becomes part of the club's identity forever. So why doesn't the same logic apply to national teams? The answer comes down to one simple difference: who makes the rules? A football club operates under its domestic league and national association. As long as league regulations allow it, clubs have considerable freedom over squad numbering. That's why some clubs permanently retire shirts. Others leave the number unused for years. Some even bring the number back decades later. Every club can make its own decision. But the World Cup isn't run by clubs. It isn't even run by the national associations. It's run by FIFA. And once a nation enters a FIFA tournament, everyone plays by the same rule book. Argentina can't create one system. Brazil can't create another. Germany can't invent its own numbering. Every country follows identical tournament regulations. That standardization is one of the reasons the World Cup functions as smoothly as it does. Even though the numbers can't officially disappear, some of them become almost impossible to wear. Imagine receiving Argentina's famous number 10. You're not just putting on a football shirt. You're stepping into decades of history. Every pass and every mistake, every missed chance will be compared to Maradona. The same is true for the Netherlands' number 14 or Brazil's number 10 or Portugal's number 7. These shirts carry enormous psychological pressure. Some players embrace that responsibility, others try to avoid it altogether. Because in football, a number isn't just a number, it's an expectation, and sometimes an impossible one. Many fans ask a simple question: if Maradona deserves an exception, why not make one? At first that sounds reasonable, but FIFA has to think beyond one player. If Argentina receives permission, can FIFA honestly refuse Brazil if they ask for Pelé? What about Portugal for Cristiano Ronaldo, France for Zidane, Germany for Beckenbauer, Italy for Paolo Maldini, Spain for Andres Iniesta? Where would it stop? Every football nation has legends. Every country believes its icons deserve immortal recognition. Once one exception exists, it becomes almost impossible to deny the next request, and that's exactly what FIFA has tried to avoid. But maybe FIFA is solving the wrong problem, because fans don't actually care about administrative paperwork. They care about legacy, they care about preserving history, and that raises a fascinating question. If retiring numbers isn't the answer, is there a better way to honor football's greatest legends? Because over the years, some countries have found creative ways to keep those legends alive without ever breaking FIFA's rules. And those tributes might be even more powerful than retiring a jersey. So if FIFA won't let the world's biggest football nations permanently remove iconic shirt numbers from World Cup tournaments, how do they keep those legends alive? The answer is surprisingly simple. They make sure the player is remembered in every other possible way. Stadiums are renamed, statues are built, museums are opened, training centers carry their names, special anniversary matches are organized, documentaries are produced, entire generations grow up watching highlights of players they never even saw live. In Argentina, Diego Maradona isn't remembered because nobody wears the number 10. He's remembered because his story is told every single day. The same is true for Johan Cruyff in the Netherlands. His influence isn't stitched into a jersey, it's embedded in the way Dutch football is played. His ideas transformed academies. His philosophy changed coaching. His legacy became much bigger than a shirt number ever could. And maybe that's exactly why these legends have become immortal. Still, the debate refuses to disappear. Every few years, fans ask the same question: why can't FIFA just make one exception? Supporters argue that players like Maradona or Pelé changed football forever. If anyone deserves a permanently retired number, surely it's them. Others completely disagree. They believe football is different from sports like basketball or baseball. International football belongs to every generation. Every child who dreams of representing their country should have the chance to wear any shirt number. Because the jersey doesn't belong to one player, it belongs to the nation. And legends don't own numbers. They give those numbers meaning. It's a fascinating argument, and honestly, there may never be a perfect answer. Here's the irony. FIFA never intended to create a philosophical debate about legacy. Its tournament regulations exist to keep competitions organized and standardized, but those same regulations accidentally created something extraordinary. Think about Argentina's number 10. Every player who wears it knows exactly whose footsteps they're following. Think about Brazil's number 10. Every new generation remembers Pelé because someone else is trying to live up to that impossible standard. Think about the Netherlands' number 14. Even decades later, Johan Cruyff is still the first name people associate with it. The numbers were never retired, yet somehow they became immortal anyway. Because true greatness doesn't disappear when someone else wears the shirt. If anything, it becomes even more legendary. Every new player reminds the world just how difficult it is to match the original. So the next time you watch the FIFA World Cup, pay close attention to the numbers on the backs of the shirts. They aren't just random digits. Some carry decades of history, some carry impossible expectations, and some belong to legends so unforgettable that no matter who wears them next, fans will always see someone else. Maybe that's why FIFA never needed to retire those numbers. Because legends like Maradona, Cruyff, and Pelé don't live forever through fabric. They live forever in the memories of millions. And perhaps That's the only retirement that truly matters. If you enjoyed discovering one of football's most misunderstood stories, let me know in the comments. Do you think FIFA should allow national teams to retire legendary shirt numbers at the World Cup? Or should every generation have the chance to create its own legends? Because in football, the debate is far from over.